stress starts ahead of policy launch today. We're live at the University of Ghana campus to speak to students.
Also, fallout from sentencing of self-styled evangelist Patricia Isiama, known as Nana Agradaa. We find out if the 15-year term handed her was excessive.
School feeding is back in the news as the Secretariat ramps up efforts to improve quality of meals served in schools. Well, it's the holiday edition of News Central. I'm Kemeni Amano.
And I am Mawena Egbeta. The bulletin starts right now.
Oh, the no-fee stress policy will be launched today. We've been telling you that disbursement have even begun ahead of the policy launch. We want to connect with some students at this time on the University of Ghana campus. But before we do that, let's connect with the CEO of Student Loan Trust Fund, Dr. Sajida Shiraz. She's joining us via telephone. Good afternoon, madam. First, disbursements we hear have started already. Talk to us about the dynamics around that.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to your listeners. So, yes, disbursements have started ahead of the launch. What we did at student loan was that we had an application process by which we wanted students to give us their details and their bank account numbers so we can facilitate their reimbursement. So we also had a validation process, and we took the enrollment data of every admitted student from tertiary institutions, all 158 public tertiary institutions. So we then we cross-referenced the application data against the validation data. So now we have a validated list of students who have registered and have been confirmed to us as students belonging to public tertiary institutions. So yesterday, ahead of the launch, we decided to set some systems, and then we decided to process some reimbursement. So the majority of validated students we intend to pay after the launch within the upcoming week. Thank you very much.
Very well, Dr. Shiraz. How much has been paid out so far?
It differs because we are still even paying as we go. If you are talking about the amount, it differs from program to program because we had to look at the data to make a determination for how much was reimbursable per program. In the coming days, what we hope to do is that on the student loan portal, we intend to upload the reimbursables per program on our portal such that anybody can go and click on the program and then see how much we are reimbursing for that program and the cost build up to the final amount they are receiving. We intend to be very transparent about our processes and the decision making that led to the final decision to reimburse any amount that we are giving to students.
And we're expecting thousands of students to benefit from this disbursement that has started already. How many do you have on your list?
So as of this morning, more than 145,000 have accessed our portal. More than 125,000 have completed applications, and I think we've validated about 49,000 already. We have also received the enrollment list for about 130,000 students with more data expected in the coming week. So we are validating as we go, and we tend to be paying as we go. So the more students we validate, anytime we validate students, we intend to pay them. So my encouragement is to the students, the few students who haven't registered yet, they should go on our portal and register because we may close the portal at some time to be able to process the reimbursement for every student.
I see, Doc, it sounds like you already have a very good machinery going as far as the no fee stress policy is concerned. Why then do you launch today when everything is already going well? What's the use of the launch?
So the no fee stress policy is a multi-fold promise. It is more than the no academic fee policy. It contains about 5 proposals. One is the no academic fee policy, which we are reimbursing for. The second is the free tertiary for persons with disabilities. We also have the Student Plus Initiative, which offers more comprehensive support to students. And then we also have a mandate to explore and increase loan amounts and coverage for students. And finally, also to explore how we can diversify funding sources. So what we are launching is not just one policy, but it is the initiative of John Mahama to enhance tertiary education financing. And John Mahama, we were this late in launching because we wanted to launch a tangible, and we wanted proof that the no fee stress policy was not just political talk, but it is something he's intentional about and it's something he's committed to. So the reimbursement ahead of time is just to show that we are already implementing it, and the cohort of promises that comprise the no fee stress policy we intend to carry out as well. So if there's any doubt in anybody's mind that we would implement all parts of the no fee stress policy, the fact that some students have already received their reimbursement is testament to the fact that we are committed to this promise and we will execute this promise.
Doc, quickly, give us a reminder of who stands to benefit from the policy.
So, like I said, it has several policies that comprise no fee stress policy. For the no academic fee policy, the target is first-year students in all 168 public tertiary institutions. And these are the 16 public universities, 10 technical universities, 47 public colleges of education, 92 health training institutes, and then the 3 colleges for agriculture. So all first-year students pursuing accredited programs in these institutions are eligible for this grant, as long as they are Ghanaian. Then the free tertiary for persons with disabilities covers all disabled persons pursuing undergraduate programs, whether diploma or degree programs. And this is a more comprehensive coverage than the no academic fee policy, because no academic just covers academic-related costs, but disability covers the full spectrum of fees related to accessing tertiary education. Then we have the Student Loan Trust Fund, which is supposed to benefit everyone, including continuing students. The thought was that after first year, what happened? And government was very cautionary in its approach to trying to explore the provision of university education or its equivalent as enshrined in Article 38. So what it sought to do was that let's give the first year as a grant, but in subsequent years, let's explore how we can enhance that as a loan package for students who are already in school. So first year, you are receiving the grant. To clarify, a grant is free money. No academic fees monies are free. But subsequently, every student in tertiary institutions is eligible for the Student Loan Plus initiative, which would also give comprehensive coverage at this time as a loan. And then we also still will have our traditional loan package. So this means that every tertiary student, in fact, and our traditional loan package even covers private universities. It means that every tertiary student has some way or can access some kind of funding support from the Student Loan Trust Fund.
I'm afraid we'll have to end our conversation here. I have a feeling we'll touch base again on a different platform. Thank you so much for talking to us. Dr. Sajida Shiraz is acting CEO of the Students Loan Trust Fund. We've been talking about the policy launch at the University of Ghana campus, where our news team has also pitched camp at the University of Ghana to assess the impact of the policy, where more than 15,000 first-year students in public universities across the country have benefited so far. Now, there's an update to that because the CEO just told us some 49,000 applicants have been validated, monies sent to them as well. 140,000 in total have applied through the web portal. 125 100,000 of them will benefit from this. We'll get to those details and bring you more later. But let's connect now with George Queening. George Queening is at the University of Ghana campus. He's been interacting with some first-year students about the impact of this policy. George, what have you picked up?
Thank you, Kemini, for having me. Good afternoon, and we're coming to you live from the Premier University, that's University of Ghana, precisely the Kwapo Hall. Like you rightly mentioned, this very policy, of course, has been welcomed by students here, first-year students. We were told by the Communication Minister for Government Communications that some 15,000 students, first-year students, have benefited so far, and so the remaining numbers, they'll receive payments right after validation. But Bridget is one of them, and she's a first-year student. She's offering political science, information studies, and theatre act, right? So she's received her funds. That's in the region of 2,000. But Bridget, I would want to know the impact of this very policy. How would it, impact your education?
Oh, okay. So this has like increase in budgeting. Probably I have some most modules that I have to pay. So for this, with a good planning, I can even use some to pay for the dues, and then probably I'm good to go. Yeah.
That's a good. You're supposed to tell your parents that this is what you have now because they gave the money to pay.
Yes.
Are you going to tell them?
Yeah. Well, I told them yesterday after I received it. I told them that I've received the money. Yeah. So whatever I'm going to use the money for, I'll tell them. If they say no, probably maybe they'll give it to me.
You also mentioned that if you're not able to pay your fees next year, you can even save this and use it. Is that what you
Yes. Now, in as much as the money is in, and then maybe we are all excited, you have to think about it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as I said, I have some small modules that I have to pay. My mom or my dad can give me that money. I can also keep this money. It's not every day that money is paid. Now the system is really easy. So I can keep the money. Next year, then if I don't have any, my parents are not able to pay my fees on time. I can pay before they give time.
Sure.
And they can also give it to me back.
So personally, I've also seen some confirmation from students, and so people that are saying it's a hoax, it's not what it is. And the money is actually in the region of 2,000. And for her, she might keep that money, and if maybe next year she's not able to pay her fees, she can use that to support that. And I would want to also talk to some students who have also not received their fund, because the portal was open in May. So they came to school in January. The portal was open in May for them to register. So that those people that could not register are the ones that are going to benefit. But I would want to talk to this lady here. Good afternoon, how are you doing? We're live on TV3. I know you're a first-year student. Have you also received your funds? But are you expectant of it? Did you register? And for you, if you get the funds, do you think it will have any impact on education?
Yes. Planning to save it for money.
Actually, you think you sure you can keep this 2,000 till next year? But I know your demands are high, actually.
But for this one,
But for this one, thank you. Your name and then what course are you offering? Okay. I also want to talk to you, please. Have you also, received your funds?
Not yet.
But are you expectant of it?
Yes.
Did you register when the portal was open?
Yes.
And so, what do you think is the reason why you've not received your funds?
Maybe as a result of the number of them, it's in budget, so we have to be patient and then be expect us to.
So, what do you think that will have the impact to have on education? The impact, how will it impact your education?
Yeah, it will help most of us who are unable to be able to get some funds on time, be able to sort out communities.
So, according to the Minister for Government Communications, tens of thousands more students are expected to benefit from this very policy. That's the initial phase and beyond. And also, it's going to enhance access to higher education across the country. And so, if we just tune in, we're coming to you live from the University of Ghana, precisely the Kwapo Hall. We want to assess the impact of the no fee stress policy. And the president is expected to launch this very first later in the day at around 1 p.m. in Korea. I know the presidential team, the fish come there, and they'll surely update you on this very much. So this is this current situation here at the University of Ghana.
Absolutely, and that's where we are headed now, the launch region for the no-fee stress policy. Yvonne Nikwe is our correspondent who's been observing events there for us. Yvonne, what can you report this afternoon?
Well, Committee, I'm currently at the Seventh-day Adventist College of Education, where the official ceremony is expected to take up. The president hasn't touched down yet, and so we're still waiting for him. But we'll be engaging students on exactly what the impact of the policy and what they do make of it. We do know that a number of them, as at yesterday, have received personally the reimbursement of the fees on their phones. Others who delayed in loading their details on the portal are yet to receive it. But generally, on a good note, students from the colleges of education and the only public university we have here, University of Science, Environment and Development, are here to partake in the exercise. I'd want us to listen to the students who have been sharing their excitement at receiving the money on their phone.
Very well, Yvonne, let's take a listen to some of those students who are excited about the reimbursement.
Okay. I think it is of high prerogative to have been a beneficiary of this no fee stress policy. And I think this policy is going to empower students to ascend to high intellectuals and also personal growth and also release of fee paying stress in Ghana. So we are much grateful to the government for instituting such a policy for us. Okay. When I saw most of the students jubilating, and then I had to also check my account to see if it was in. So I also logged into my GCB account, and amazingly, it was in.
So yesterday I went for lectures. After lectures, I went back to the hall, and for God being so good, I received a message from the GCB bank, and it was about the no stress fees policy, and it was 1,801.70.32. So we are so excited. Even some of my colleagues, we went to the bank, and for God being so good, we went there and met some of the universities out there, and they received, some of them even received 3,000 and above. So we thank the President of Ghana and the Minister of Education.
So actually, I have not received yet, but the number of students who have started receiving their own makes me feel very proud. And I'm yet to register my bank account because I wasn't having the GCB bank account, so I'm yet to register it. I'm feeling very, very happy. Though I've not received mine, but colleagues who have received them makes me highly assured I'm going to get mine. And I'm very happy about that.
Well, some university students from the Eastern region there. Earlier was Yvonne Ikoya, Eastern region correspondent, who's been telling us the president is yet to arrive for the launch of the policy, which is already taking effect.
Let's stay on education, because the Minister of Education, Haruna Idrisu, has directed the National Inspectorate Board to strictly enforce the ban on mobile phone usage in schools. He is also calling for tighter regulations to curb the growing trend of students carrying weapons to schools. Addressing the inauguration of the governing boards of the National Inspectorate Board and the National Curriculum and Assessment Board in Accra, the minister described the issue of students carrying weapons as a growing threat to safety in schools.
It's noted that such students pose a serious risk to their peers, creating an unsafe learning environment. He also flagged the use of mobile phones on school campuses as a major concern that has not received adequate enforcement despite existing education regulation that ban it.
We talk about a student having access to a phone in an examination room. It's a no, no, no. And probably we have to even review examiners and supervisors' use of phones, because in some instances it may be some of them who are aiding the cheating, and therefore we have to limit who can carry a phone to an exam room. And the relationship between the user of that phone, ordinarily I would have just pronounced a ban. But if the examiner haven't arrived with questions early, somebody must call to say that we don't have the exam questions yet. And if they have to finish and report back, but we expect strict compliance and enforceability on that.
The minister also emphasized the importance of a standardized textbook policy to improve the quality of education delivery across the country.
The best way is the coming generation to grow with love of country and the value of integrity, and to pursue their life endeavors with integrity. We can only do so if we train them early to uphold the.
That's the Education Minister, Haruna Idrisu. So let's speak to the Executive Director for Africa Education Watch, Kofi Asare. We'll connect with him shortly and then bring you details and explore really a bit more on what the minister has been saying. But let's do a story that's caught the attention of a lot of Ghanaians, and commentary on the 15-year sentencing of self-styled evangelist Patricia Esiedua, also known as Nana Agradaa, has come thick and fast. While many believe the sentencing is within the remit of the law, others are of the view that the judge could have exercised discretion, describing the number of years as heavy. If I always speak to a lawyer to understand the charges and the corresponding sentences, let's throw back what caused the prosecution of Patricia Isiama.
The leader of Heavenway Champions International Ministry, popularly referred to as Nana Agradaa, was convicted of 1 count of charlatanic advertisement and 2 counts of defrauding by false.
I'm taking this opportunity now, men can be big kakra and for video no one echo viral. Reverend Mama Pats, Babonte, the catcher Ghana for say. May chairman sorry Masika. Mamodia Koye Juma. Into Upia, I hope a semi was says he can be. Now the year Juma, bra. Into so bad. Obaba before you to sell crown what be true then you become a church member. So by your church member, now if you was start your sorry. And to say, Reverend Mama Pat, my all night. Na my chemisika, I'm a man sorry mba. Na be a more dana no be drew ya watch road, you know. Sebia into me and so. Mama Pat, me near one, me fraud over. Me more wapo. Obi anso nim say all night no ye chesika. Obi anso nim say asori bia wokwa ye ba for de. Me nkwa na me ye osofo ba me ba for de a me de camera eto so. Abra me resi fan no. Man ko ye okukua mu. Me kan wo asori dem ho. Say aforebo no ye sha see 3,000 cedis. 800, 700, every sequence. Say, Abia, Adiasa, na ya all night. Na we can get out, na we phone so. Obit me send it. Aya for the.
That's Evangelist Mama Pat, as she referred to herself. Essentially, this was in the aftermath after that, one of the charges, charlatanic advertisement, where she said persons were to come to church, make some donations, and then she will return a hefty sum of money to them. She, in the aftermath of persons or some of the individuals who were present at the church raising objections to the fact that they were not a part of the individuals who received the hefty sums, had complained. Then she recorded this video explaining that it was just donations or offertory, and so if you were not a beneficiary, she's not done anything wrong. In fact, she made the point that when you come to a church, you're supposed to register and pay some amount of money and register, and then possibly you can be a beneficiary of that particular service which she was rendering to her church members. Then she also makes the point in that video we showed you that we pay offertories at church, and so she mentioned in the church, and there were cameras and all of that, that the offertory was starting from 1,000 cedis up until coins. And so she's not duped anybody and whatnot. But those claims as made by some of the individuals who were present at the church who didn't receive the sums of money they believe they saw on TV, reason for which they went to church, is what brought us to the determination which was reached by the court yesterday and the count. So we know 3 counts. The first is charlatanic advertisement in newspapers contrary to Section 1371 of the Criminal and Other Offences Act 1960. Then there were 2 counts of defrauding by false pretenses contrary to Section 131 of the Criminal and Other Offences Act 1960, Act 29. And so we know that in all, there were 3 counts. 1 of the charlatanic advertisement and then 2 of defrauding by false pretenses. What was the conclusion arrived at by the courts? We'll seek to bring that to you just shortly. The reason or the final determination. And so the facts of the case is what we're seeing now. So on the 5th of October, she advertised on today's TV and other social media platforms that she's organizing all-night service on the 7th of October 2022, and that she indicated she will share an amount of 300,000 to all participants who needed money. A bit more on the fact, she displayed bundles of money during the advert, and during the all-night service, she directed members to form groups of 20, and each was to pay various amounts with 1,000 cedis as the maximum. And here's the catch. So for persons who, or the first group who were paying 1,000 cedis, she was going to give them 50,000 cedis to share. Means you are almost going to double the amount of money you brought to the church. Then for persons who were paying 900 cedis, 40,000 cedis was going to be given to you to share. And so complaints or complainant says as a result of these representations, they parted ways with the sums of money and they didn't get anything. What did the court arrive at? She was found guilty. But let's return to the 15-year sentence was seen. So the 15-year sentence is for the 2 counts of defrauding by false pretense. She was found guilty on all counts, and for each of the counts, she was sentenced to 15 years imprisonment. And so they are to run concurrently, and it's not going to be added to be 30 years. It's 15 years, all running concurrently. Then for the count of charlatanic advertisement, 25 penalty units is what she was sentenced to, which amounts to 300 cedis. If she fails to pay that, she will be sentenced to 30 days in prison. And so that's what we know as a result of the decision as arrived at by the court. We can now engage the thoughts of private legal practitioner Christian Mam Hesse. The big question a lot of you have been asking, or the suggestion a lot of you have been putting forth following that sentencing yesterday, is that it was a bit too harsh. Let's pick his thoughts and find out if really there could have been a review of some sort of that 15 years by the judge before handing it out. I appreciate you speaking to us. Talk to us first about why you think the sentencing was fair or excessive.
Thank you, and good afternoon to your viewers. And the point is that when it comes to defrauding by false pretense, if you look at Act 30, that's the Criminal and Other Offences Act, Section 296, and 296 affects Section 131 of Act 29 when it comes to sentencing involving defrauding by false pretense. And it indicates that a maximum sentence of up to 25 years. So in law, we say that the judge would have to have a commensurate, that the sentencing must be commensurate with the gravity of the offense. So that allows the judge to exercise a certain degree of discretion. Now, the degree of discretion is to strike a balance between the punishment, deterrence, and an opportunity to reform, that on the part of the accused person. And that is the discretion that comes with it. But this discretion, like I mentioned to you, there are 3 legal factors that govern or the judge should have recourse to in exercising this. If at the end of the day, the sentencing given, even though the law prescribes that it should be up to 25 years, if it is not commensurate or the balance of it is not served, then the accused person's lawyers could appeal and for the court, the appellate court, to have a review of the sentencing to a further sentence that it deems fit.
We know already that council has stated they will be appealing the decision, the 15-year jail term, but there's another understanding we have, possibly explaining why the judge would have chosen to give her 15 years, in that a similar offense in when she was a fetish priestess, Sika Gari, as most people knew her for, she was fined in that first instance and not sentenced. Then there was this second other offense, a similar matter. Could this be the reason for which the judge decided that there was a first instance where you were fined, and so if you were sentenced the first time, possibly you would not have been around to have engaged in the same activity again, reason for which you're before us in this court, why she gave her 15 years?
Yes, so like I mentioned, the court moved more towards deterrence, and it's amongst the three factors. And the deterrence was basically premised on the fact that after mitigation was pronounced or submitted by the accused lawyer, prosecution indicated what you just mentioned. And based on that, the judge was formed the opinion that this is somebody who is obstinate and not ready to reform, or did not show remorse for that. But again, irrespective of whether it's a first-time offender, that plays a significant role in mitigation. But again, it must be commensurate with the sentencing. If you look at a defrauding by false pretenses, which involved the Republic versus Victor Selome, he was sentenced to 8 years. But the court indicated that it must be commensurate. The gravity, the amount of money involved in that was so huge. Even with that, it was given 8 years. Now, there's also another defrauding by false pretense case of Republic versus Tosu Raphael. And in that, the court indicated after the person was given 8 years, upon appeal, the court further reduced it to 3 years and 6 months. So that the court always makes sure that it must be commensurate with the gravity of the offense. So in the circumstances, if the 300,000 that she purported to advertise through the charlatanic notices that she gave, the court could look at a review of the sentencing, because we are of the opinion that it is a bit too harsh for such an offense, even though she is not a first-time offender. And in looking at that, the court could even still impose custodial sentence with a fine, or even restitution. So restitution would be that the amount of money that she unjustly enriched herself by should be returned to those people, and a fine. So all of these things could be interplayed in order to
they could come up. They could come up in the appeal which her lawyers are.
So they would appeal the sentencing part of it. But it is, before I conclude, I say that the portion of clergy that engages in these notices should be wary, and the cyber fraud should be up and doing in arresting some of these things, because the faith as we have it cannot be used to exploit the masses, where people become religious fanatics and become very gullible because of faith. And this should be an opportunity for portions of clergy who engage in some of these things to be up and doing.
Thank you very much, Counsel, for speaking to us. That's Christian Maham-Hesse, also adding his 2 cents to the arguments and the conversations surrounding the sentencing of Nana Agradaa, she's mostly known. But let's stay on matters relating to the courts because the Accra High Court has set July 18 to begin the trial of former Director General of the National Signals Bureau, Kwabena Edubuahi, and 3 others standing trial for allegedly stealing some 49.1 million cedis from the state. Earlier, the court dismissed an application by lawyers of the accused persons demanding the disclosures of the full operational account of national security from 1992 to date. Lord Eduasare reports.
The request filed by lawyers for Edubuahin, led by Samuel Atachia, was brought before the court on Thursday, June 26. In the motion, the defense team sought comprehensive disclosures of National Security Coordinator's operational accounts spanning the administrations of 6 presidents: Rawlings, Kufuor, Atta Mills, Mahama, Akufo-Addo, and Mahama's present tenure. In his ruling on Thursday, Justice Nyedu Nyante indicated that the defense lawyers hadn't justified why the documents should be disclosed. He therefore dismissed the application, adding that the full ruling could be applied for on Monday, July 7. Reacting to the ruling, Atachia requested a brief adjournment to allow the defense to review the decision.
How was it that they were able to bring President Akufo-Addo's National Security Coordinator's operation account? Where did they get it from? Why is that the rest of the operational account they don't want to bring it? What document is it in this realm that the Attorney General should not go and fetch? But it's convenient to hide some documents and bring some. And even those things that they've brought, they've removed some of the documents. What kind of trial is this? The Attorney General believes that there are certain documents they don't want to divulge. You know, a court of law should not aid evidence gathering and will challenge it.
However, Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Remsai opposed the request and called for an expedited trial. He indicated that the prosecution will call its first witness when the trial begins. An openly frustrated Atachia pushed back, accusing the Attorney General of withholding crucial documents. Justice Nyedu Nyante ordered the defense to file their disclosures and set the trial date to July 18. Samuel Atachia noted that he will appeal the decision of the court. Kwabena Edubuahin, Angela A.J. Boateng, Mildred Donko, and Advantage Solutions Limited are currently facing 11 counts, including conspiracy to commit crime, stealing, using public office for profit, money laundering, and causing financial loss to the state. All the accused persons have pleaded not guilty and are on bail. Lord Eduasare, TV3 News, Accra.
From the courts, we'll go for our very first break here on News Central. When we return from that break, we have the national school feeding on our lenses, sharpen focus, because they say they are doing all they can to ensure meals provided to students are nutritious. What are the details? We'll give you all of that if you stay with us here on News Central. Please do stay.
Welcome back. In other news, after several complaints about the inadequate quality and quantity of meals served to pupils under the school feeding program, the Secretariat has ramped up monitoring efforts to assess the situation firsthand in selected beneficiary schools. Led by the National Coordinator of the Ghana School Feeding Program, Hajia Fati Fogo. Along with all regional coordinators, a dedicated team has been conducting surprise inspections across various schools over the past few days. The move aims to evaluate caterers' performance and implement necessary improvements to ensure pupils receive nutritious and sufficient meals. Let's check in on this development. Ibrahim Abubakar is our Ashanti region correspondent. He's been traveling with the monitoring team. Ibrahim, good afternoon to you. Talk to us about what the monitoring team has seen so far.
Well, coming in, so some of the things that have been identified, I would say the gap has to do with the quality of meals being provided to the kids, and also the quantity as well. So in some of the schools, they were able to meet all the requirements. You could see that the meals were okay. The quantity was also quite appreciable. But in other schools, some you find out the quality is okay, but then the quantity is very, very minimal. Others too, they recorded zero after all. And this is why the coordinator found it necessary to be able to go there unannounced, so that at least they'll get first-hand information about some of these things and also find a way of addressing these gaps or even addressing the concerns. We do know that the fee per head has been increased from one cedi 50 pesos to 2 cedis for now. So the coordinator is obviously expecting that the meals will be of certain quality and also will be of certain quantity. In fact, she is telling the caterers that every meal that is being served the children should be meals that can be consumed by any Ghanaian at all. It shouldn't be meals that are substandard, and for that matter, they have to caution some of them. Let's listen briefly to what the National Coordinator, Hajia Fati Fogo, has been sharing with us.
50 pesos. And now if it is 2 cedis, we expect that they can do better. In some of them, in some of the places, I think we got it right, because the quality of the food actually was nice, the quantity was okay. In some places too, the food was nice, but the quantity was not up to whatever we expected to have seen. So I believe going forward, once they know we can pay them visits of this nature, they will set up and know that we are not here to joke. The main issue is to get people who are capable and responsible enough to be able to provide the service. It's not the matter of just giving it to anybody at all to please the person. Give it to someone who can actually provide the service so that the children will not have to go hungry. They have to be sure that they can provide nutritious meal. It should be hot. At least the quantity should be appreciable.
Ibrahim, I mean, it's easy to check for quantity. How are they checking for quality and how nutritious the food is?
Well, so Kemini, what the coordinator did was that every school that she goes, she tried to have a taste of the meal that is being served the kids. And from there, they are able to tell. In fact, sometimes by just virtue of seeing the meal, you can even deduce that this is of good quality or less, because some you realize that the soup is quite watery and there is no meat, nothing in there, and that was the concern. And now this exercise is being done nationwide. Now they want to do most of these unannounced visits so that it will put the caterers back on track. They want them to have a certain standard because they signed a contract, and if you continue delivering poorly, then they will be left with no option than to terminate your contract. So they are moving around, testing some of the food, hoping that it will meet the quality that is required from these caterers.
Very well. Ibrahim, thank you so much for talking to us. Ibrahim Abubakar is our Ashanti region correspondent. He's just been reporting on the monitoring of the school feeding program in that region. The coordinator seems pleased by some of the caterers and will follow up with others.
Let's stay in the region because Ghana lacks resources to control sepsis, already claiming 11 million lives globally. The Sub-Saharan Consortium for the Advancement of Innovative Research and Care in Sepsis Stares has revealed that Ghana currently lacks adequate resources to control the disease, a disease that is claiming over 11 million lives globally every year. A principal investigator of sepsis, Dr. Adabia Pia, called for urgent attention to the disease during a stakeholders' engagement in Kumasi.
It's a disease condition in which the body response to fight infection is too extreme to the point that the same response is damaging the organs in the body. It can damage the brain, the kidney, the lungs, and even the body's own immune system. At a workshop held by the Sub-Saharan Consortium for the Advancement of Innovative Research and Care in Sepsis, STES, there was an urgent call on stakeholders to seek targeted intervention and policy reforms in the combat of sepsis. Dr. John Adebiapia is a principal investigator with STES.
The burden of the 50 million, actually most of them rest on the shoulders of low resource settings, which Ghana is part of the low middle income countries. So that's the reason why we show that the burdens and then the fact that we also don't have the resources to be able to manage them. That's a more reason why it's important that we gather as people, stakeholders, as citizens, to be able to deliberate, discuss on this, come out with solutions.
Now, the United States Deputy Ambassador to Ghana, Rolf Olsen, has indicated that the country will join forces with Ghana to expel threats of violent extremists. Speaking at an event to commemorate the 249th Independence Day of the U.S., which falls today, he noted that America will continue to protect its borders from illegal immigration. The government of Ghana, on the other hand, says it is working to address concerns raised by the U.S. over visa restrictions for Ghanaian applicants.
Ghana and the United States enjoy parallels of history and politics which extend across various domains. Every year, July 4th comes with a rich significance of the growth, opportunities and relations between these two countries. In a brief statement, the charge d'affaires of the U.S. Embassy in Ghana noted that America will continue to deepen its bilateral relations with Ghana, especially on the security front.
Economies can only grow when countries are safe and secure. Another central feature of our close bilateral relationship has been our deep security partnership. We continue to work alongside the Ghana Armed Forces to keep violent extremist threats outside of both the United States and Ghana. And just as Ghana seeks to protect its borders and its people through rigorous enforcement of its immigration laws, so too does the United States seek to do the same. Among the reasons to do that, of course, is that illegal immigration undermines the ability of legal immigrants to achieve the American dream.
He acknowledged that despite the complexities, both countries can harness their shared values.
While these areas are each complex and nuanced, our shared values make it easier to forge ahead. Our cultural and educational ties create opportunities to learn, grow, and contribute to our respective countries. Our shared belief in the freedom of speech and freedom of the press allows for critical debate and, in turn, solutions to the world's most acute and pressing problems.
The government of Ghana, in a speech delivered by the tourism minister, noted that the concerns about U.S. visa restrictions will soon be addressed.
The government of Ghana has taken note of the concerns raised by the U.S. government relating to visa issues with Ghanaian applicants and assure the U.S. government that the Ghana government is taking serious steps to address the concerns as soon as practicable.
She further called for a timely renewal of the African Growth and Opportunities Act to boost trade.
As the United States reviews the future of AGOA, which is set to expire in September 2025, Ghana joins many voices across Africa in calling for its timely renewal and modernization. AGOA, remains a critical mechanism for deepening U.S.-African trade, reducing poverty, and driving shared prosperity within a fair, rules-based global economy.
The U.S. Independence Day celebration in Accra was a colorful one that gathered members of the diplomatic corps, traditional rulers, and many dignitaries. Christian Yale, TV3 News, Accra.
That's Macaulay Christian Yale there with that report. But away from that, Executive Chairman of AB David Law Consults, Dr. David Ofosu-Dottir, has lamented the frequent reshuffling of ministers, stating such instability creates uncertainty and discourages long-term investment. Speaking at the Ghana Investment and Trade Summit, he expressed deep concern over the ways in which the public sector inadvertently undermines its own potential, deterring investors rather than attracting them.
Unfortunately, in Ghana, my observation over the years, and this is a sector I've worked in for 30 years, is that the public sector helps us to promote and then turns out undermining itself. I cannot count on my fingertips the number of projects that the public sector has undermined itself and killed the projects and end up driving investors away. At times, undermining is not conscious. It's as a result of, let's say, a president makes a speech, wants PPPs, but a minister goes somewhere and makes a speech that drives away the investors. It happens very, very often. Or at times, a minister is changed within the same regime. I've said over and over again that I get more worried about the change of minister than I worry about change of government. Ministers, when they change, often destroy projects more than when governments change. Now, the public sector is supposed to be a promoter. That means identifying projects, ideally, at best, doing a project concept note or the pre-feasibility. I do not recommend anything beyond the feasibility, a pre-feasibility. But I've seen many where the public sector spends copious amounts of money doing feasibility for projects. It does not make sense for the public sector to spend its money doing a feasibility for a project to be delivered by the private sector. Absolutely no private sector entity will take a public sector feasibility and implement it. Zero. But yet we borrow money, we purport to do the feasibility, it wastes time, we go through unnecessary procurement, and we finish the feasibility, and by the time we finish the feasibility, it is the time for the government's term to end, and the project never gets done.
Now, President John Dramani Mahama is addressing the National Peace Council post-election 2024 evaluation dialogue in Koforidua, which is where we're going. So let's take you back to the Eastern region.
And other senior government officials, stakeholders, and participants of the post-2024 elections evaluation dialogue, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is a distinct honor for me to address this closing ceremony of the post-election conference held under the compelling theme, Dialoguing for a Stronger Democracy and Social Cohesion. I commend the organizers and participants for their tireless efforts and deep reflection over the past few days. As mandated by Article 35(6) of our 1992 Constitution, the state is enjoined to actively promote the integration of the peoples of Ghana and prohibit discrimination and prejudice on the grounds of place of origin, circumstances of birth, ethnic origin, gender, or religion. This constitutional obligation goes to the heart of national unity and peaceful coexistence, which are the bedrock of our democracy. I've often said that peace is indispensable to national development, like salt is indispensable to a good soup. Without peace, we cannot create jobs, we cannot expand opportunities, we cannot improve education, we cannot attract investment or build a just society. This is why our founding president, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and successive presidents after him made the pursuit of peace and national unity a central pillar of their governance. In this spirit, during the recent inauguration of the new governing board of the National Peace Council, I emphasize the continuing importance of their role in safeguarding Ghana's peace before, during, and after elections. President Nkrumah's commitment to peaceful, non-violent pathways to change remains relevant even today. Indeed, in a world increasingly plagued by instability and polarization, Ghana must hold fast to the principles of tolerance, dialogue, and peaceful dispute resolution. The 2024 Global Peace Index ranks Ghana 55th globally out of 163 countries, a 4-place drop from our 2023 position. While we retain 4th place in sub-Saharan Africa, we remain number 1 as the most peaceful country in West Africa. It is a wake-up call, a signal that we must be more vigilant, proactive, and committed to addressing the root causes of discord in our society. The government, in collaboration with the National Peace Council and civil society, has implemented a range of interventions to deepen national consensus, strengthen conflict prevention mechanisms, and foster public trust in the institutions that underpin our democracy, especially those responsible for elections, investigations, and prosecution of electoral offenses. Elections are by nature high-stake events. They are contests of ideas and ideologies, often influenced by deeply held convictions and competing visions for national development. While Ghana once again demonstrated its democratic resilience in the 2024 elections, culminating in a largely peaceful transfer of power, we cannot ignore that the process was marred by isolated acts of violence in some constituencies. Let me use this platform to unequivocally condemn these acts of violence and call for swift accountability for the perpetrators. I've requested that the IGP expedite investigations into these acts of electoral violence and bring the perpetrators to justice. The Attorney General is also working on a report to be presented to Cabinet for adequate compensation to be paid to victims and relatives of those affected by the violence. Let me take this opportunity to commend the Electoral Commission, our security services, civil society organizations, political parties, and the electorate for their collective role in ensuring that Ghana's democratic credentials remain intact after the 2024 election. But we must go further. Our political differences must never become tools for division, mistrust, or violence. The disbandment of party vigilante groups through the passage of the Vigilantism and Related Offences Act 2019, Act 999, was a step in the right direction, and it has reduced politically motivated violence to some extent. The National Peace Council and its partners have built upon this legal framework to roll out public education campaigns, strengthen the capacity of electoral management bodies, and mobilize youth and civil society actors to promote peace before, during, and after elections. Nonetheless, violence still thrives when grievances are left unresolved, when institutions are perceived to be biased, and when political discourse becomes toxic. We must confront these challenges boldly. We must not sweep issues under the carpet. We must investigate how authentic ballot papers of the Electoral Commission and other electoral material fall into unauthorized hands during general elections. The future we seek cannot be built on division. It requires unity of purpose, respect for diversity, and constructive engagement across party lines, religious beliefs, and ethnic identities. This administration prioritizes inclusive governance, respect for the rule of law, and a culture of listening. No nation can prosper in an atmosphere of fear, suspicion, and exclusion. This national dialogue, bringing together political parties, religious and social sector actors, is timely and necessary because through dialogue we cultivate mutual understanding, we reduce tensions, and create shared commitments toward the Ghana we all desire. I urge all participants here today to rise above partisanship, reaffirm our shared destiny as Ghanaians, and rekindle the spirit of national service, whether we wear red, blue, green, or any other color. We must remember that we all stand under one flag, the red, gold, green, with a black star for hope and unity. As this conference draws to a close, I charge you to ensure that the outcomes of your deliberations do not remain within these walls. The themes you have engaged with electoral integrity and trust building, post-election violence, misinformation and disinformation, accountability, governance, youth engagement, and media responsibility are all central to the health and future of our democracy. And it's my hope that your recommendations will be formally submitted to the appropriate institutions, including the ongoing Constitutional Review Committee for study and implementation. Ghana must continuously improve its democratic architecture, not just through elections, but through deliberate reforms that reflect the aspirations of our people. In conclusion, peace building is not an event. It is a journey, a perpetual process that requires continuous effort, vigilance, and sacrifice. And as the great Nelson Mandela once said, great anger and violence can never build a nation. Let us leave here today with a renewed conviction. Let us reject the politics of hate. Let us empower our young people to believe in dialogue over violence, cooperation over conflict, and service over self-interest. As President of the Republic, I reaffirm my unwavering commitment to strengthening our democracy, preserving our peace, and upholding the dignity of every Ghanaian. Let this dialogue be a turning point, a new chapter of healing, cooperation, and shared purpose. And let me stand and assure you that I'll do everything in my strength and my power to ensure that the recommendations of the National Constitutional Review Committee are implemented. Finally, I thank you for your patriotism, your wisdom, and for your participation in this all-important dialogue. May God bless us all. May God bless our beloved nation, Ghana. Thank you very much.
As President Mahama speaking there, post-election evaluation dialogues, expectation that will feed into reforms into our election. But that's our bulletin for you this afternoon.
What a glorious way to go.
Absolutely. I am Agradaa.
And I am Kemeni Amano. There's more news on 3news.com. Bye-bye.